Welcome to the Recaps channel. In today's video, we'll recap Old. Let's get started. The Kappa family, consisting of Guy and Priska and their kids Trent and Maddox, is on a holiday trip at a picturesque island. Upon arrival, they are warmly greeted by the resort manager and offered complimentary cocktails. One of the staff takes the kids outside where they meet other people. Trent becomes friends with Idlib, the manager's nephew, who seems to possess some knowledge or secret about the island. As the night falls, the family's situation is revealed to be less than ideal. Guy and Priska are contemplating divorce, making this vacation their last as a family. Unfortunately, Priska has also been living with a long-standing illness. The next morning, they have breakfast and meet other families staying at the resort. One family includes Charles, a surgeon, his mother Agnes, his wife Crystal, and their 6-year-old daughter Cara. There is also the Carmichaels, Jaren and Patricia. During breakfast, she has a seizure, but Charles helps her. The resort manager approaches the Kappa family and tells them about a beautiful beach nearby. He has arranged a vehicle and everything they need for the trip. Guy and Priska are confused about why they are being treated so well, but they agree to go. They board a bus, and Charles and his family also join them. When they reach the end of the road, the driver drops them off and points them toward the beach without offering any further assistance. He says he will pick them up at 5 p.m. The group walks through a forest and a narrow cavern until they finally reach the beach. It is a stunning place, just as the resort manager had promised. Both families start unpacking until they notice a man sitting alone. He turns out to be a famous rapper named Mid-Sized Sedan. Maddox recognizes him and wants his autograph, but her dad tells her to leave him alone. The kids find buried items in the sand, mostly toys and things people would bring to the beach. Strangely, there are no fish or small creatures in the water. Trent, being curious, goes swimming alone and has fun until he sees a dead body floating toward him. He screams for help, and the adults come to rescue him. They bring the dead body to the shore, and Charles, the surgeon, determines that she had recently drowned. He accuses Mid-Sized Sedan of killing her since no one else was on the beach when they arrived. The accusation against Sedan becomes stronger when people see him bleeding from the nose, suggesting he had a fight with the woman. Sedan tries to explain that he is innocent, but no one believes him. Meanwhile, the little boy Trent complains that his swimsuit feels tight, and Agnes, Charles's mother, has difficulty breathing. Sensing something is wrong, Charles tries to call for help, but there is no signal in the area. The Carmichael couple, who arrived earlier, hears about the situation and decides to stop the driver from leaving. However, when Jaren runs into the cavern, he suddenly faints. Everyone is confused, but before they can investigate, they realize that Agnes has stopped breathing. The group rushes to her, and Charles tries to revive his mother, but his efforts are unsuccessful. Meanwhile, the Carmichaels distract the Kappa kids and notice that Trent looks much older than his claimed age of 6. Priska arrives and is shocked to see her children aged by several years, making them unrecognizable. Witnessing the chaos, Sedan tries to escape, and Charles chases after him, but they both black out and regain consciousness on the beach. Worried, Priska suggests finding another way out, but whenever they approach the large canyon, they pass out and wake up on the beach again. They are trapped with 2 dead bodies, and the children are aging rapidly, making it hard to find suitable clothes for them. Panic ensues, and the adults brainstorm for a solution. The Kappa family believes a virus is causing the strange events, while Charles, growing paranoid, cuts Sedan's face with a knife, only to see the wound heal instantly. Maddox takes Sedan aside and asks him about the truth of the place. Sedan claims he is as clueless as the rest of them and reveals he has a condition that prevents his blood from clotting. The adults also discover that the deceased girl had sclerosis. Priska suddenly loses her senses and falls to the ground, revealing she has a tumor, which was the cause of trouble in her marriage with Guy. The tumor has grown significantly since they arrived at the beach. With time running out, Charles attempts to perform surgery with a knife, but the incision heals instantly. To make matters worse, Charles starts talking to himself. Before reaching the beach, Charles had shown signs of schizophrenia, but now the illness is taking control of him. Thankfully, the group helps him regain his focus so he can continue with the surgery. Charles makes another incision near Priska's abdomen, and everyone holds the wound open to prevent it from healing. They only release it after Charles removes the large tumor. As soon as the wound heals, Priska regains consciousness and is no longer sick. Unfortunately, their happiness is short-lived when they discover that the previously deceased woman has turned into dust and bones. Despite her body being removed just a few hours ago, it has completely decomposed. Priska, who works as a museum curator, examines the bones and explains that it usually takes around 7 years for decomposition like this to occur. It dawns on the group that time is passing much faster on the beach. Priska calculates that half an hour on the beach is equivalent to a full year in regular life. Meanwhile, Trent and Kara are seen eating the remaining food and shock everyone when they return as adults. Additionally, Kara is heavily pregnant. Realizing she may go into labor soon, Charles and the others lay her down to prepare for the delivery. Crystal, Kara's mother, wants to be with her daughter but faints from anxiety. When she wakes up, she discovers that Kara gave birth to a baby that didn't survive. Time passed so quickly for the baby that it didn't have a chance to eat or develop properly. Trent, despite appearing grown-up, still thinks like a 6-year-old and finds all of this confusing. Charles, on the other hand, is losing his sanity. He threatens Jaren to leave in one instance and cruelly tells his wife to put on makeup, calling her ugly. Eventually, Charles goes too far and stabs Sedan repeatedly with a knife. Sedan's condition prevents his blood from clotting, so he doesn't heal. Devastated, Jaren decides to brave the waves and seek help, believing that risking his life is preferable to slowly dying on the beach. While Jaren is away, Guy cautiously takes the knife from Charles, who has become completely paranoid. In that moment, Guy realizes something important: all the families that arrived at the beach had a member suffering from an ailment. Guy asks Priska where she got the invitation card, and she reveals that it was from a random sweepstakes printed on the back of her pharmacy receipt. This leads them to the conclusion that the resort owners already knew about their medical histories. Later, Maddox goes for a swim and discovers a dead body, identified as Jaren. It appears he blacked out in the water and drowned, similar to what happened to the earlier woman. Despite the grim situation, Kara refuses to give up easily and attempts to climb up the canyon. However, just as she reaches the top, she blacks out and tragically falls to her death. Shortly after, Patricia starts convulsing violently and passes away as well, adding 2 more corpses to the group. As the day turns into night, the Kappa couple begins to lose their senses, struggling to recall why they were trying to leave the beach in the first place. Meanwhile, the children stumble upon a book left behind by previous visitors to the beach. The book contains names, addresses, and information about their ailments. Trent's attention is then caught by a light emanating from the top of a hill, which turns out to be a camera. In another part of the beach, Charles, who has become increasingly volatile, slowly approaches Guy with the intent to harm him. Guy, who is nearly blind at this point, is unaware of the impending danger. Charles lunges at him and starts slashing his body with a knife. Priska, who has become deaf, initially remains unaware of the situation. However, when she eventually realizes what's happening, she fights back and manages to inflict a small cut on Charles's arm. The rust on the knife enters his veins, causing his demise. In another part of the beach, the siblings enter a cave and encounter an aged Crystal. In an attempt to conceal her disfigured face, Crystal tries to kill the children with rocks but ends up breaking her own bones, leading to a painful death. After the chaos settles, only the Kappa family remains. They regroup near the beach one last time, and Guy expresses his deep love for his family before passing away. Priska also succumbs to old age shortly after. The children are left devastated and helpless without their parents. The following morning, they wake up in their late 40s, realizing that they too will age rapidly. Trent and Maddox, aware of their impending fate, decide to spend their remaining time playing. They build sandcastles and recall that the resort manager's nephew, Idlib, had given Trent a puzzle to solve. With plenty of time on their hands, Trent retrieves the puzzle and eventually solves it. Realizing that the corals hold the answers to their questions, the siblings waste no time and dive into the water, heading toward the corals. However, as they attempt to navigate through an underwater tunnel, Maddox's dress gets snagged on a piece of coral. Meanwhile, a man observes the beach from the hills. He turns out to be the driver who transported the families to the beach. After confirming that everyone is dead, he contacts his boss and provides a briefing on the situation. He proceeds to pack his belongings and departs from the area. A laboratory where several prominent scientists are conducting research on various medicines is shown. The resort manager is also present, informing the scientists that Trial 73 has concluded. He emphasizes the significant impact the beach has had on their ability to save millions of lives through their medicines. It is revealed that the resort is a front for a pharmaceutical company. They exploit the beach's unique properties to conduct accelerated clinical trials on individuals suffering from illnesses. By administering trial medicines mixed into the welcome drinks given to guests, they can obtain rapid results in a matter of minutes, rather than waiting for years. Meanwhile, the Kappa siblings, who miraculously survived the perilous waves, have returned to the resort with the notebook they found on the beach. They encounter a police officer who happens to be on holiday and proceed to explain everything that transpired. The police officer makes some calls and concludes that the individuals mentioned in the notebook are indeed missing. Finally, the medical laboratory is raided, and the scientists are apprehended. The Kappa siblings are escorted via helicopter, bringing an end to their harrowing experience. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoyed the video. See you again here on the Recaps channel.